Baba is talking about limited, unlimited, and beyond limited and unlimited. He is also talking about knowledge, devotion, and disinterest. And we will discuss all of that. But first, I want to take Baba's point about Maya. And today, Baba is saying that, sometimes when Maya plays its games, it looks like Maya is more powerful than Baba. And in that time, we give in to Maya. Yes, and you see, there is so when these negative emotions take over, so they come with such a force that it looks like, action. It's look like I have to act out of them. Yes, let's say fear. So when fear takes over, fear of loss, fear of losing face, fear of so many things, and when fear takes over, you feel like, it's the end of the world and you have to take a big drastic step to save yourself. But that's just fear doing its work. And if you look back at your life, you will see that fear, I'm just talking about one emotion. It could be any emotion. It could be, fear. It could be lust. It could be attachment. It could be ego. And then in that wave of emotions, you make one mistake. And just after making that mistake, you know that you have made the mistake. And then you repent it. So Maya does this thing, this wave of negative emotion would come in, and then you will feel like it is, what can I do? Or, your intellect will stop working, and then you feel like there is no other option. What else can I do? This is the only way I can respond. But then if you just hold Baba's hand at that time, and if you just thought it's okay, it's not the end of the world, and it's okay, Baba is with me, and I don't have to overstep Baba's Shrimad, so I just have to stay within the boundaries. Remember the Murli at that time. And if you remember the Murli at that time, if you just try to remember, what did Baba tell me today? What was Baba's words today? Then you will see that in that wave of, dark feelings, you will suddenly see the light, and you will save yourself from making that one mistake which you will repent later, or at least, or maybe, in some cases that will save you from starting a chapter of accidents, because have you seen that chapter of have you read that chapter of accidents? It's a very good story by, I think, Tom Sawyer, and in that he just describes how one thing leads to the other, and then there is total chaos because of one mistake. So sometimes you avoid all of that just by holding Baba's hand. And when you hold Baba's hand, then in that whole wave of negative feelings and emotions, you will be able to refrain from acting out of them. And then when you just sit back and you think about it later, then you will thank Baba so much that, Baba, you saved me from making that one mistake at that time, which looked like the most natural thing to do at that time, but which I would have repented profusely later. So, this is something that you see when, even when, lustful thoughts will take over, then it's just, that 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, or 1 hour where you have to persevere and you have to just hold Baba's hand and not commit the act that will, again spoil all of your kamai, everything that you spiritually earned. You have to just hold on to Baba. And then sometimes, when anger takes over you, then there is so much, what do you say, there's this pull, to speak or act out of anger. But then if you just remember Baba, and if you just stop yourself from reacting in that moment, then you will save yourself a lot of pap karma. Yes, and even in attachment, sometimes when you are very attached to somebody and then that suddenly changes, that attachment can drive you crazy, literally crazy. I saw one Mata, and her son had died, and he had committed suicide, and it was 10 years back. And when she came into Gyan, it had already been 10 years since her son had died. And whenever she talked about him, she had streams of tears flowing. It was not drops of tears, it was streams of tears flowing, and she was just crying incessantly for 10 years. And when I talked to her, she told me, Didi, I have acute migraine, my bones are not in good health, my whole physical body is like, that I'm just 50, but my body, I don't know if it has the strength of an 80-year-old also. So just think about the damage that attachment can do. And then she took Baba's Gyan, and now she cries only one day, when it is that day when her son had died. It's just one day she cries, and other day she's fine and she laughs and smiles, and she says, I don't know, that sanskar is not going, Didi. Maybe, in another 1 year I'll stop crying totally. But you see that this, this series of, and once you, vices are such, when they take over, they just swamp you with themselves, and then one after the other it starts becoming a sanskar, and then it damages everything. Your mental health, your peace, your physical health, your relationships, everything it damages. So Baba says, this ego, and when there is this rise of ego, then this push to just push from within to just speak out of ego, or use wrong words, or hurt somebody's ego, that can also cause a lot of damage. So Baba says that just hold on to Baba even when there is a lot of, and from my experience I will tell you, I have always understood this, and now I understand it completely, that everything passes. There is this philosophy, this too shall pass, and I have experienced this, and I understand it absolutely that everything passes. And I have seen the best times pass, the worst times pass, and then, sometimes it feels like this is such a storm, it will never pass, but it passes. Nothing stays. But, you know, when you are within the storm, you are with Baba. So, a storm passes for even agyanis. It's not like, if somebody is not in Gyan, then a storm will come and it will stay for life for that person. No. Even for an agyani, a storm will come and go. Even for a jnani, a storm will come and go. That's not the big thing. The big thing is when you are in Gyan, when you are with Baba, you are holding Baba's hand. And in that holding of Baba's hand, you are not damaged from inside because you have love and faith and peace and happiness in your heart, because wherever Baba is sitting, all these things are there. So, your heart is full of love and peace and faith and happiness because all through the storm you're with Baba. So, there is no internal damage, there is no trauma. And this trauma you have to be very careful of, because once you are traumatized, it takes I don't know whether it gets healed or not also, because I maybe years of meditation and remembering Baba and burning the sins, maybe they can do that, but it's not easy to heal trauma, but it is very easy to save yourself from trauma. And if you just, while all of that is going on, if you just sit with Baba and you are experiencing Baba's love and peace and happiness and revising what Baba said in the Murli today, then you will not have internal damage. And you will also not spoil your actions, your karma, by reacting in any situation, nor will you create any karmic accounts or ruffle somebody's ego. You will not do all of those things. And this is very, very important. And I tell you one thing, there was this brother and he had a surgery very recently, last week. He went for a surgery and he said that, Didi, although they had given me anesthesia, but despite the anesthesia, the pain was unbearable. And he told me that when it was aching, so suddenly there was this wave of this wave coming from within, where I felt that, this pain is unbearable and maybe I'll die. And when this thought came, then I just told myself, because every day in the class, Murli class, we hear that, remember Baba's Murli or churn Baba's Murli. So I just thought, what was the blessing today? And what did Baba tell me today as a blessing? And then I started thinking about the blessing, and then I started churning on the blessing, and suddenly I felt like all my pain had gone away, or maybe I was just not thinking about the pain. And then that whole surgery got completed, and after the surgery was completed, I just had this one thought. It was not about how much pain I endured. It was not about how much blood I lost. It was just about this one thing. Thank you, Baba. And I felt like it was a very beautiful experience where I felt Baba's hand, Baba's love, Baba's company all through the surgery. And he said that maybe 10 years back, when I look back at the surgery also, the only thing I will remember is my experience with Baba in that surgery room. So he told me this was very beautiful. And you see that when I remember there was this one interview, and where Janki Dadi was being asked about the struggles that happened in the beginning. And of course, when there is a sthapana, whenever there is the groundwork happening, whenever there is the foundation being laid, and this, think about the foundation of this big seva that's happening today. So when the foundation was being laid, obviously, there has been a lot of struggle. Without struggle, this foundation has not been laid. But when Dadi was being asked about the days of the struggle, Dadi just kept speaking about how beautiful that time was with Sakar Baba. And she kept narrating, playing with Baba, eating with Baba, walking with Baba, and those beautiful times in Baba's company and Baba's remembrance. And so the interviewer, he kept, kind of pushing Dadi to talk about some challenges or some struggles that happened. And then suddenly, I don't know, he listened to the full interview, but somewhere in the middle, I just had this moment of awakening where I understood that, you see, even if you've been through a lot, it's what you've registered inside that matters. And because Dadi had so much love for Baba, so what she experienced in every moment is, how fortunate am I to be spending time with Baba at this time. So that's her inner recording. So this is why, when you hold Baba's hand and cross challenges, then life is very different. And I remember, there is this one Mata and her Lokik family. She's in Gyan, but her Lokik family is not in Gyan. And they went through a very tumultuous phase back, some days back. And then they're out of it now. And she told me, Didi, you see, by Baba's grace, they are out of it. So I said, no, they are out of it because of drama. And everybody goes in a situation, out of situation. That's not a big deal. Nothing lasts forever, whether you're a Gyani or an Agyani, doesn't matter. But the thing is, are they out of it unscarred? Are they not scarred by it? That's the thing. So she told me, no, Didi, there are big scars, and now I have seen them that they've become very jumpy, so because it was a medical condition with one of the family members, so now, whenever anybody coughs or anybody, has some symptoms, then they have become very, very jumpy. They just rush to the hospital. Earlier, it was not like that. Earlier, it was like, okay, it's just a cough, it's just a little breathlessness. But now, they have become very traumatized because of that incident. And now they are doing a lot of fear-based bhakti, fear-based donation to temples. So, they're just giving away money so that God should protect them, or they are doing a lot of, don't miss the arti or the jot jalana, because maybe God will get angry and something will happen. So this kind of a bhakti also has started taking place there. So she was just telling about her Lokik family, and I told her, you see, this is the difference. The difference is not in the outcome. Like the physical outcome of the situation per se will be the same, but your experience and your takeaway, and whether you are scarred or you are left unscarred, or whether the memories what you're carrying, all of that will be very different. So, the journey will be the same, but the experience of the traveler will be very different with Baba. So, this is why Baba says, drama is predestined. But if you're with Baba, then your experience of life will be very different. And if you're with Baba, you are not in Kali Yuga, you are in Sangam Yuga. So that difference between Kali Yuga and Sangam Yuga, you will absolutely feel. Yes, and there is one sister, and she told me, Didi, in the center, you people receive help at the right time because there's such a big family. But in Lokik family these days, nobody cooperates and we don't receive help at the right time. So I said, no, we receive help because we have gratitude. So you are sitting here and you are telling me that nobody in the family helps you. So what vibration are you sending to them? You're sending the vibration of ingratitude. And it's not like you are alone on the planet and just growing just like that. So you have also received help from many people at many times. But if there is no gratitude, how will you continue receiving it? So Baba teaches us these things, when you have gratitude, when you have, and I have felt that, as a Brahmin, we have become capable of gratitude. We have become capable of seeing goodness, seeing what Baba is giving us, what we are receiving. Even if you receive one support in the whole day, you remember that, because our buddhi is now working well, and our buddhi is able to see the good, see the speciality. And when you see the speciality, when you acknowledge the goodness, when you have gratitude, then obviously it will multiply. And if you whole day you keep saying, nobody gave me anything, I didn't receive anything, I was born like this, I grew up like this, I'll die like this, then how will you receive? Not possible. Yes. So, and even in the center also there are, I will tell you one day what happened many years back. It was, so there was Brahma Bhojan to be prepared, and at that time, because the center was small and there were not many children in the center, so there was this one Mata who was observing purity of food and lifestyle and everything. And she was the only one who used to help me in the Brahma Bhojan, because there was a big family who came for the bhatti and everything, but there were not many matas who were in dharana. So this is why there was only one Mata who used to help me in the Brahma Bhojan. So the Brahma Bhojan, for at least I think 80 to 90 souls was to be prepared. And then I woke up at 2:30 that day in the morning, and then I was doing the work, and that Mata had to come at 4:30. And she had told me that 4:30 in the morning, Didi, I will come. So I said, okay. So suddenly at around 3:45, she rang and she said, Didi, I just slipped and I think I have twisted my ankle, so I won't be able to come. So I said, okay, no problem. So then it was 3:45, so it was Amrit Vela. So then I told Baba, okay, Baba, so this Mata has two hands and you have several. And this Mata is not coming, but you are here. So it's okay, we can do the work together. If I can, if two hands can help so much, why can't 1,000 hands help? So you're here, and I tell you, literally, it was just me and Baba, and the whole Brahma Bhojan was prepared and it was ready before time. So it was ready earlier than usually it got ready. And I don't know what happened, but it was a magical experience. And from that day onwards, I have never fretted about how many sevadharis are there, or how many, how many are there to help, or whether there are resources or not. Because I have seen that when Baba is there, Baba is enough. And the biggest of events happen, and whatever biggest, according to my experience, of course, I have not been the instrument to organize very big, but whatever has happened, it has happened very smoothly because Baba is always there. And never, when I look back, I have ever seen that, it was a difficult day or chaotic day or lots of problems came. I don't have that in my memory, because I have seen that when you are with Baba and you can discern Maya and you can win over Maya, then your experience of life or your memory track is only filled of good memories. So, your memory track is not tainted and scarred with bad memories. So, this is something that Baba is saying today. And also, Baba is saying that, in order to imbibe Gyan, you need to have a pure intellect. Yes, and just like, and Baba today gives a very beautiful example. He says, if there is a very beautiful jewel, something that a diamond which is worth crores of rupees, then it has to be kept in a beautiful dibbi also, in a beautiful case also. And because Baba was a jeweler, so Baba says that whenever there was a beautiful diamond, I would keep it in a beautiful case which was lined with cotton. And when I presented it also, I would present it in a very, with fanfare that I'm presenting the best jewel I have. So this is the kind of treatment, Baba said, you give to jewels. And think about the jewels of knowledge that Baba gives. So Baba says, what Baba is giving us is a jewel of knowledge. And not just a jewel, but jewels of knowledge He is showering on us every day. And where do I intend to keep them? So, inside, I want to hold the jewels of knowledge in me, the soul. But they have to pass through the years and they have to get filtered through the mind. So the ears, the mind, every passage through which these jewels will pass has to be very clean. And then there has to be a clean intellect which can hold these jewels. Only then can these jewels of knowledge stay inside. Yes, and what does Baba mean by your ears have to be pure? So you see, if there is a habit, a sanskar of listening to wasteful things, the noise of the world and listening to all those things that people are, I don't understand. These days music is also not soothing. So what they call as music is also very disturbing. So just let alone, whatever else they are doing, but even what they call music is pretty disturbing. And I remember there was this, I was once traveling by metro, and there was this brother who was sitting in beside me, and he had this big earphones, and he was listening to some strange music, and that music was so loud that I was sitting beside him and I could hear it totally. So I just wondered, if I can hear it so loud and it's kind of unsettling, then just think about the damage it would be doing to him. And I just, I tapped on him and I said, why don't you just lower the sound and listen to it? It will damage your ears. And then he told me, I'm sorry I disturbed you. So I said, no, it's not about disturbing me. I will anyways get up and go. So it's not about me. It's about you. It might damage your ears. And then he said, I have become so hard of hearing because of this music that now I cannot hear it at low volume. So I can only enjoy it and hear it when it's very loud. So I said, okay, good for you if it suits you. So you think about what kind of, and I'm just talking about the music, but the kind of words, the kind of language, the kind of ideas, the kind of dirt is that's there in the world these days. Baba says, don't let your ears, don't let your ears be vulnerable to them. So just don't go there, don't listen to those things. And then Baba says, the mind. So the intellect, so before it sits in your intellect, it's the ears. So do you know that we hear the Murli, but we can't listen to the Murli? We are not listening when we are hearing the Murli. And I will tell you one thing. So earlier, when I used to conduct classes, I knew that, I have spoken this point, so I never repeated it because I knew that I've already shared it in one class. But then it so happened that once I delivered a totally, same lecture, and I didn't know that the audience was the same. So I thought the audience has changed and it was the same lecture, and they enjoyed it equally because they had not heard it the first time. So then I understood that ye log kuch sunte nahi hai. So then I thought, why waste so much energy? You can also, repeat the same stuff and it would make the same sense, because you see that this listening, so, and it is remarkable that we are all in the world out there, we are smart people. We understand theories, theorems, we understand policies, we understand politics, we understand everything. But when it comes to Gyan, nothing enters our buddhi when we listen. Why? Because it is, and there's one brother, and he's an intellectual by, the order of the world. So when people see him, they say he's an intellectual. So he's a so-called intellectual in society. And if he misses Murli 2 days, then his Shri Krishna goes to Dwapar Yuga again. And again he will have the same question. Why Didi Shri Krishna came in Dwapar Yuga and then why is he in Satyug? So I said, I explained to you only 2 days back. And then so I forgot. So I am very surprised. You see, how can an intellectual of world order not understand this simple thing? Why doesn't it sit in the buddhi? Because this is what Baba is saying today, that if your ears are not pure, if you keep listening to worldly stuff, your buddhi will not have the capacity to retain Gyan. And it is surprising, we are those children who have mugged up the whole books. So, I was so good at microeconomics, I used to mug up the whole book. So, you ask me the page, I will tell you what is written in it. But when I came into Gyan, I understood 3 pages of Murli, I don't remember 3 lines. And then I started thinking about what is wrong with me, or what is there some problem with this Murli? Why can't I remember 3 lines after I leave the class? And then I started thinking about, and then when I listened to Baba saying that this Gyan is different, and if you want to hold it in your buddhi, you need purity. And then I understood that, this is the problem, this listening to the outside stuff and this, and then I started working on it. So I'm sharing that same thing with you. If you keep listening to worldly stuff, your buddhi will not imbibe Gyan. Second is thoughts. If you keep engaging your mind in worldly thoughts and wasteful thinking, your intellect will not imbibe Gyan. And if your intellect is also busy wandering, around in people, places, things, events, in the old world, then your intellect cannot imbibe Gyan. So keep your ears very exclusive, to just hear knowledgeful stuff. Mind, no ulte sulte vichar, and then in the intellect also, you have to keep tweaking your intellect towards Baba. Even if it wanders, keep bringing it back to Baba. So that is how you will understand that you will retain Gyan. And this whole Murli, you will be able to remember. And then if you don't remember, how will you imbibe? Not possible at all. So at least first we have to remember. And retaining it in our buddhi is such a big task. If there is no purity, there is no retention. So this is something. And then Baba talks about, this is the unlimited, this Dwapar Kalyug, because so much of population and every soul has come down. And then there is a limited world in Satyug, Tretayug, where there is limited souls coming down. And then there is the beyond, where there is no limit or unlimited. There are just souls in the soul world, and there is just silence. So Baba says, I give you the knowledge of both the limited and unlimited, and then take you beyond. And then Baba says, and in this cycle there is also knowledge, devotion and disinterest. Knowledge is in Satyug Tretayug, devotion from Copper Age, and in the end there is disinterest. What is disinterest? The path of disinterest is the sannyas marg. So when sannyas dharam comes, then they talk about neither knowledge nor devotion. They say, we just want to go back. And that is the path of disinterest. And then Baba says, then I again come and give you knowledge. And this cycle continues. Okay, Om Shanti.